Hello and welcome to the Road Report. Today is Friday, April 21st. My name is Jill. We are here in the middle of New Mexico on a cow farm. So 1, we're talking about rethinking retirement. 2, what's your personal motto? And 3, the download for this week on your book of wisdom is your oral rehydration solution. I know. Does it get any more exciting than that? So there's no place I can be anywhere that it's not super windy, so we're back inside in my least favorite spot to record these videos. But every day the forecast is windy, so we might as well get used to it. So this last week, one of the things that I've been doing while I've been thinking about my project here in terms of aging in rural communities is also, how do you search that term? And the big term is retirement. So I started doing a little research on retirement. Oh my God. I didn't link all the documentaries and the podcasts and things in the blog page for today, which you can find in the link of the YouTube description below or VidMe. However, the one statistic I will give you that might be your standout statistic, and I haven't gone back to verify this is from a Frontline documentary, 11% of baby boomers, only 11% of baby boomers can expect to retire with the same standard of living that they had while they were working. Now let's think about that. That's a little concerning. And so what was interesting about these 3 pieces of information that I looked over, Lilith is here with me, Freedom has been banned to be outside for a little while, is that documentary talked about 401ks. And so the takeaway from that documentary is make sure you check your 401k plan because there's all these hidden fees, and even 2%, a 5% to 7% fee factor, that 2%, it accounts for more than 2/3 of loss of income that should have been yours. Now, I am not a mathematician. I am not a retirement savings expert. I do know that 2% doesn't make sense that it equals 2/3 of your income. He does the math in the documentary. But it's something to be concerned about, meaning if you invested $100, 60 of those dollars, or 66 basically of those dollars, goes to your retirement 401k manager. That does not make any sense to me. So the second one I listened to was where he talked about pensions and people who worked for government institutions, and there's no money. Most of them are underfunded, and when you start to project out, there's just no way any of this is going to make any sense. And that Social Security, while not definitive, is set to run out of money by 2033, Medicare and Medicaid before that. And all the people working for states, cities, and the federal agents or government, theirs isn't guaranteed either. And then the third one was Max Kaiser, which is on the blog page, where he was talking about how the new advice is to get retirement is to get a job with a good pension, and how that's just not feasible. Refer to the previous documentary. The bottom line being is, while I don't have any money for retirement and I don't understand money for retirement, my takeaway is there is no money for retirement. And the only people talking about retirement are talking about your money. And what I've learned is money doesn't mean anything if there's no food to buy, there's no people to hire. Those are the things that I've really focused on so far in my research. I think the future is looking a little scary on retirement. So we'll be talking more about that, not to freak you out, but rather to encourage you to, 1, rethink retirement, 2, let's just start paying attention to what we can do, and 3, which is the big one for me, is I don't think we're supposed to retire. Productivity and purpose are a lifelong goal. So that's going to be our focus here on these road reports and other things. What do we do over 50? Because the future is looking really bleak. Can you see that? Can you see that? It says, live free, die wild. It's a little paracord bracelet I made with the dog collar ID, nothing like a little innovation, to remind me of my personal motto, because the word wild is what really keeps me focused and on track. And so I just bring that up because it's important to remember who you are and who you want to be regardless of what's happening out in the world. And there's nothing more important than having a personal motto, which is different from an affirmation or even a positive statement or a quote. But I encourage you to find your own personal motto, just so you have something to remind yourself on those dark days, windy days, that why you're doing what you're doing. I just find it's a little helpful. Plus, I wanted to show you my bracelet. So the last thing we're going to be talking about today is oral rehydration solution, and that'll be the download for today over at the blog page. And the reason I'm getting that is there was actually an article today about how Americans are still getting too much salt, but the reason we're getting too much salt is because of eating out and processed foods. What's really interesting is when you cook your own food and you don't get a lot of processed food, you're actually probably not getting enough salt. And it's true for the elderly. There's all this focus on, less salt, less salt, less salt. But first of all, our bodies are salt water. If we don't have enough salt, we'll die. We're moving into summer where we do more sweating. In cases of emergency, we need to know how to rehydrate ourselves. So I've condensed it to one page, which I don't have with me because it was too windy to take papers out. Anyways, it was about 15 pages of information I condensed into one. So I tried to highlight the most important things. And most of the medical stuff is for kids because once you become adult, it's much less dangerous to do rehydration in terms of too much or too little. But it's important to remember that if you don't have enough salt, you'll die. Just like vitamin C. It's easy to forget these little things because the message we always get is we're oversaturated with salt. Part of that article, which I want to add also, is that people crave salt when they're stressed, and your adrenals need salt to function properly. And so part of that craving is, when you're highly stressed, you're taxing your adrenal glands, and so that's probably part of where those salty cravings come from. But if you don't have enough salt, you won't be able to cope. So it's good to start paying attention. Salt that is in processed food isn't the best for you. You really want to try to get sea salt or Celtic sea salt so that you're getting the full range of minerals. I was looking up iodine in sea salt, and just a half teaspoon. Lilith is having a moment. So just something to think about, putting salt in your food. If you're missing it, it's one of those things, if you don't have it, you'll die, and we don't want you to do that. So that's this week's road report. Maybe we'll have a little bit more luck, although the forecast is bleak in terms of wind. But I hope you have a super fabulous weekend. Don't forget to go over to the website and the blog page where you'll find all the links. And with that, we'll see you next time.